Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And take vacations. In space.
It would be pretty cool to take a vacation in space.
What would you do?
I don't know.
Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's by playing Galactic Cruise.
This game! Yeah, it's a big box game, that's for sure. Galactic Cruise is published by Kinson Key Games. It's designed by TK King, Koltin Thimpson, and Dennis Northcott. And the art is done by Ian O'Toole.
Now in this game, the CEO of Galactic Cruise is retiring in 3 years. And it is your responsibility and opportunity to become the next CEO by crafting shuttles, sending them off to space, and ensuring that all your passengers have a lovely time on their cruise.
Are you going to be the best Galactic Cruise maker out there?
I hope so. Now this game is in prototype form, so everything you're seeing here today is still in the works and may be subject to change. But with all that said, let's head on over to the table and show you how it works. Galactic Cruise is played over multiple rounds, where players will work towards constructing their shuttles and executing successful cruises across space. Majority of this game will take place through worker placement, where workers will visit various locations and take 2 actions. Now this game does have a mechanic of bumping, which bumps enemy workers back to their player boards, and developments, which enhances your reach when selecting actions. Intrigued? Let's give you a rundown of what a turn looks like. First, if you sent off a shuttle off on a cruise, you'll advance your shuttle at the start of your turn. Sometimes your guests will enjoy a travel day where you'll obtain bonuses, while other times you'll land at a destination, giving you the opportunity to unlock an upgrade and score points through your guests. Following that, you have an option. You can assign a worker, you can launch a shuttle, or you can call a meeting. Assigning workers will be the majority of the actions you'll take. You'll place a worker on the main board and take 2 actions. These actions can be within wherever you've placed or adjacent to if you have a development built. You may also use your opponent's developments by paying them a fee based on your reputation. The actions you take will drive your game. You can build development, enhancing your reach, creating space for resources, and working to score more points at the end of the game. You can hire an expert worker, which will have a special ability that ranges game to game. You can gain supplies and ads in exchange for money. You can schedule a cruise using your cruise consultant and in return activate and flip one of your launch tower tokens. You can advertise for a cruise, inviting folks to your queue, gaining money and potentially reputation from matching interests. You can draw 2 agenda cards, which strengthen your action, gain resources, or allow you to contribute to the silo. You can refill the agenda cards and get bonuses with associated spaces. You can acquire blueprints for your shuttle that you want to build. Or build shuttle segments from your own blueprints or the blueprints on the main board by paying an extra cost. You can acquire a new shuttle, you can gain 3 resources from the silo, or you can discard an agenda card to fill up one of the resources in the silo, gaining money and reputation. Phew, that's a lot of actions, but all of those work towards the goal of launching a successful Galactic Cruise. Now instead of placing a worker, you can call a meeting. This will cause all of your workers to return back to your player board, and you'll gain a funding bonus for each. You'll also be able to take 1 action that's connected to one of your developments. Now instead of both those actions of placing a worker and calling a meeting, you can choose to launch a shuttle. You'll have to have met all the conditions in order to do this. This means you have to have a cruise scheduled, a shuttle with available cabins, access to resources for your launch, and guests pre-sold to or last-minute sales to ensure that your cruise has passengers. If you do this, you're able to execute the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 sequence and launch your shuttle into space. Now finally, at the end of your turn, you'll check to see if you've contributed to any company goals. If you have, a progress cube is placed on the progress track. Now when launching shuttles, you'll also place a progress cube into the progress track. The progress track is what moves the game along, as when each section is filled, a year has passed and an annual general meeting is held, where points are scored based on your contribution to the track. And when all 3 are filled up, the game ends. You'll score points through your travels in space, bonuses from funding, guests, and engines, and progress during the game. However, at the end of the game, you'll receive additional points for your leftover supplies, progress track, reputation, shuttle segments, developments, and of course your cockpits. And that's Galactic Cruise.
What a wild ride. blast off, one might say. So what did you think of Galactic Cruise?
Well, we first saw this game at PAX Unplugged last year, and we got a quick demo, and I was suspiciously in awe. Because I'm like, everything is a little too smooth here. Everything flows a little bit too well. Like, where are the little, like, nuts and bolts potentially? But now, having played it, I'm in awe.
Yeah.
Everything is just so smooth, and it flows so well, and this may be one of the most thematic integrations of a heavier board game I think I have seen.
It feels really, really good. Yeah, I will say that we had actually heard about it at Gen Con. And then we just didn't have time to walk past because we were working, and immediately regretted it. So we got to PAX, we're able to see it, and we got this like 20-minute quick demo essentially, trying to explain to us like how the game worked. But obviously this game is a heavier type style, and it's going to take a bit longer to play. So we watched this demo, which was absolutely fantastic, and it sold us on the whole entire game because, like Ilya said, it looked like it just ran so smoothly and all of the pieces made sense.
Well, with that said, let's talk about all the pieces making sense. What are some of the reasons that you may want to check this game out? What are some of the standout pieces in this game? Let's dive into it.
I think the most obvious thing that we've already said before is this is a big box strategy game. So you're going to get a lot of game in this box. It's going to take you a couple hours to play. It might take you a bit to learn, and you're going to want to play it again and again to really like develop your strategy. That being said, the nice thing about this game is it's a Lacerda style game that jumps right into being like very easy and flowing. Right? The best way to say it.
I think you can tell that this game is a labor of love. Everything in this game just feels so meticulously thought out. There's so many little elements in this game, like even the illustrations on the various activities that you get to do in space, and the way that things really flow and move together. And I feel like throughout the game we kept being like, well, what if this happens? And then the game would just answer the questions for us as we played it, and it just felt almost magical playing it.
Yeah, it just like made sense as we took our actions, and the slow pace at the very beginning where you're just like building things up felt really good, because at the end of the game all of that work that you had done at the beginning was like showing its true colors and like coming through in your scoring opportunities, and even just the number of like cruises you could send out. So that was very awesome to see.
Now, another thing this game does well is introduce you into the gameplay. Even the rulebook is written very thematically from Zoe's perspective, who's guiding you through, here's all of our facilities, here's how everything works.
Yeah.
And this game has something that I just absolutely love, and I think more games should have, and that is the employee handbook. Now, you may be thinking, Ilya, lots of games have reference cards or a little book. Heavier games also have booklets. They don't have this. The strength of this player aid is typically when learning these types of games, one of the first questions that you'll hear is, oh, how do I get money again? Or how do I get ads or reputation? Well, this rulebook has a section precisely for that. Do I need this? This is how I can get it. But not only that, this is how I use it as well.
Yes.
Like, what is this money? Why do I even need money? I have 10. Should I care? Well, you should, because this is all the things that money should be used for. Now, beyond that, there's also just really handy guides in here of just like, this is how you should be paying attention to the victory points during the game. This is what you should be paying attention at the end of the game. There's a lot of different elements in this rulebook, in this player aid, that help guide you through the game without overwhelming you. Because I feel like a lot of these types of references are usually like a huge glossary of like, this is all the actions and this is everything they do. This is not that at all. It's very much of a helpful hand that's there beside you to help answer any of your question. And as a person who is a very much need to read to understand stuff, this has been a magical resource for this game for me.
And like, not to say that it doesn't provide like a glossary-esque type feel, there are like legends in that employee handbook, so it does help you understand like what some of the iconography is, what some of the goals might be. So that does come in handy. But the big thing for me in particular is that, how do I get this? Where do I use it? And I think that's very important, especially when you're playing through the games like later in later on in your turns, you're going to ask yourself, oh, I could do this, 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 and this. I have these resources, what can I do? You can look at the player aid to even just like pull yourself back for a minute, realize like what's going on in the board, and then make a decision from there. So things like that can help with not getting like frozen in your decisions. And I think that that is like a key component, especially when we're talking about like heavier style games like this.
Now, another thing we'll mention too is the theme in this game.
Yes.
I feel like this game, it is very much a heavier game, but even then, right off the bat, we had the conversation of how heavy do you think this is? And it felt lighter because of the theme integration. Because everything that you're doing in this game makes sense. Where you're placing your workers, the resources that you're getting, and it feels really thematic too, because you have to make sure your passengers on your cruises are fed throughout the whole cruise. Because if they're not, would not be ideal. Probably wouldn't go on that cruise. And there's a lot of small little elements throughout the game that really make the theme shine.
Yeah, 100%. I think we said this in past videos before, that theme can really elevate a game experience, especially when you've got like a heavier style game like Galactic Cruise come along and just say, hey, like, here's our theme, which is, by the way, really, really interesting. You're providing people an opportunity to go to space. Like, that's really sweet in itself. And you get to create these moments, opportunities, relate to some of the tiles that you're building on your ship. Just moving your worker up through takeoff even is really satisfying. It makes sense. And then at the same time, like Ilya has already said, is that the smoothness of all the other actions that you end up taking, and knowing the theme being this retired owner of this company is now basically going to give it up to one of you, is very interesting, and it just all kind of clicks. So when you start doing your actions, it's amazing to see it just like fall into place, and it's deceiving because it's much lighter in that sense. It feels much lighter in that sense when it really is. You gotta think when you
gotta think a lot. An example that really comes to mind for this is there's a mechanism where you pay ads to attract your passengers to your ships, but if there's not enough room on your ship, your passenger gets very mad and goes to the area that's at the very top. So you actually have to spend more ad money to get them to come back, which I think is just really funny to me, because you're like, oh, easy sell, I'll go to this. They have a bad experience, and all of a sudden you need to spend some ad money to get them back, because they're not gonna come back easy.
Yeah. Well, even the other side of that is like you have to pay extra if they don't match up with the kind of cruise that they want to be on. So it's interesting to see just the little small details that make this game like click way easier.
True.
The other things that I would just quickly mention, I think, is there are a lot of paths to victory in this game. You don't have to worry about, maybe you do have to worry about what your first couple of moves are, but no first move is a bad move, and it's very interesting, especially when you play it the first couple of times. Explore the board, try new things. There's always going to be a way for you to score points, whether that be through your cruises, whether that be through the developments that you end up having. There's a lot of ways to score points, and I think that's really interesting because you can do a lot of different things and still reap the benefits. Kind of.
And you never really felt restricted in this game either, because there's so many different ways to do those different things too. And the whole bumping mechanism is really fun too, because you get your worker back, but you also get a benefit. And upgrading those benefits can really scale up on how you do some of the things that you do. Beyond that too, there's so much variability in this game. You can switch up your action tiles, the vast amount of agenda cards, the different technologies that come out and play. There's quite a lot that makes this game different game to game as well.
Yeah, and particularly like the game end goals, I think, or the company goals that you have to strive for. Those can help drive your strategy, but you don't necessarily need to go for them. It's just another thing that adds another layer and adds some more variability to Galactic Cruise.
And last but certainly not least, the two-player variant is actually quite nice.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit hesitant putting in another player color and just seeing how it plays out with the two players, but here it felt quite smooth. It was really easy to maintain. And it did provide us some unique challenges too.
Yeah, and there was like a phasing that happened after every company goal that like added a little bit more to it. It wasn't too complicated, which made it nice, but it also like you ended up thinking about certain things that you were trying to do. And bumping happened more because it was, I think, pretty important to the game.
I'd play again.
Would play again. What do you think? Overall, what do we think?
Honestly, very high praise for me. This is exactly the type of game that I really enjoy because it is complex and there's a lot of strategies to it, but it doesn't feel complex and it flows really well. Also, our scores were really close, which was really fun to see. Although we took very kind of vastly different strategies in how we approach the game. Overall, had a really good experience, and I can't wait to see the final version of this game and to share it with more folks.
Yeah, I am excited about this game. Same thing, echo what Ilya said. This is a really fun, heavier style game. The only thing that is tough is that it's pretty, like, there's a learning curve to it. You definitely need to take some time to learn how the game operates before diving into it. But that being said, that's what you can expect, especially when you look at the size of this box.
And rulebook.
Yeah, and rulebook. So other than that, like, definitely a fun game that I really look forward to showing everybody. And yeah, that's it.
With that said, though, Galactic Cruise is on Kickstarter. Make sure to check that out below. If you have any questions about the game, if there's anything else you want to know, you can also hit that description or hit the comment box down below and leave those comments to us. And for our question of the day, what would you do in space?
Yeah, if you could go on a galactic cruise, what would that cruise be around?
I would think I would like to go like into anti-gravity swimming, but I feel like that's very scary because what if you get trapped in the water and you can't get out?
Yeah, that would be terrifying. Well, have you? Yeah. There's movies that have shown some stuff like.
Would have to be like bubbles of water that you have to like kind of just
like jump
flow through.
Oh my goodness, no.
You don't like it?
Nope.
What would you do?
No. I feel like one of the obvious ones would be like a Disney Galactic Cruise. I think that would be very funny, but like a board game cruise, because I've heard that's actually a thing.
Well, the components would be
cool.
flying all over.
No,
though.
you'd be safe. You'd be just like floating in space, looking down at Earth, and being like, "Yeah, what's up? I'm playing Space. I'm playing Galactic Cruise. I'm playing all these cool
playing Galactic Cruise on a Galactic Cruise."
Yeah. The fun is endless. Anyways,
it is.
We'll leave you with that, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.